Perhaps this sounds familiar to some of you or maybe many of you. When I was growing up, I was taught that the following would lead to success and happiness in life. Get good grades, get into a good college, have a good career, you'll be successful, you'll be happy. So that's what I did. Worked really hard in school, got those good grades for the sake of the good grades. Tried to get into a really good college, and I was fortunate to get into MIT, a very prestigious university, which led me to eventually get a job in a very good company, paying a good salary. So I did all the things I was supposed to do, right? I should have success. I should have happiness. Wasn't quite the way it played out. I found myself actually in my mid-20s not that happy. Not that happy with my job, not that happy with life. I found myself questioning a lot of what I'd been told, what I'd learned. I found people around me with degrees from less prestigious universities passing me by. I found myself not maybe pursuing the best opportunities for myself, not taking risks I should have taken. And I found myself in my mid-20s suffering from an episode of depression. So naturally, I asked the question, why? How did I end up here? I did what I thought you were supposed to do. Reflecting on this years later, I've come to learn a lot of things informed by the field of psychology. The first thing I think is really important, groundbreaking work in the field of psychology, is work from Carol Dweck and others at Stanford and other universities on the importance of developing a growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset. What these researchers have taught us is that fixed mindsets, like I had growing up, are where you think about your skills, your qualities, your attributes as being inflexible, not going to change. And these are the things that determine success in life. The research has shown that people who have fixed mindsets, like I did at the time, tend to actually shy away from seeking out interesting opportunities for growth and development. They tend to fear failure and therefore not pursue the things that could be rewarding and meaningful to them. And most importantly, they tend to underperform later in life, even when controlling for things like intelligence and other factors that we believe lead to success. Other people, on the other hand, operate by what's called a growth mindset. They believe that our talents, our qualities, our abilities are malleable, that with persistence, dedicated effort, we can grow, we can improve, we can change. And in fact, over time, these people tend to pursue more challenging opportunities, find ways to grow and develop. These people tend to embrace failure and thus give themselves opportunities to make their lives and other lives better. And finally, these people actually outperform the fixed mindset people, that it's more your mindset than even things like intelligence, things like IQ, that will determine your success and happiness in life. Sadly, I didn't know this growing up. This research wasn't around. I didn't know about these theories. But one of the things we've learned these days is that not only are these two different ways of thinking about yourself and thinking about the world, but that you can change. There is evidence to show you can shift from having a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. When we think about college and our futures, again, a topic that's very important for many of you, all of you here today, I think we have to be careful and think about, are we looking at college in our lives from the point of view of a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? And what does that actually mean? What is the impact of that? Do you think the college you go to will you determine your life? Or do you think that you, your effort, your work, the opportunities you choose to pursue are going to determine what happens in your life? I've also spent some time thinking more about how did I go wrong making the decisions I did early on in my life. Again, we're very fortunate these days. We've got more knowledge of what many people call the science of decision making. Over the last few decades, there's been a lot of work helping us understand we think we're rational. We think we make good decisions based on good information, but that's not often the case. What we usually do is follow what are called heuristics, shortcuts, simple rules, efficient ways to make quick judgments and decisions. These are often informed by limited information, maybe one piece of key information you heard somewhere, as opposed to taking a thorough look at a situation. Heuristics can be very helpful. If you go to McDonald's and eat a burger, go to another McDonald's, eat a burger, and you want to get a third McDonald's burger, you can be pretty sure that any McDonald's you go to anywhere else in the world, the burger is going to taste the same. You don't have to ask them how they cooked it. You don't have to ask them what the ingredients are. You can be pretty sure, making a snap judgment, that third burger is going to be the same. Similarly, you see red coil on a stove, you can be pretty sure, either from your past experience or someone else's experience, that that stove is going to be hot and you shouldn't touch it. You don't need to test it out. You don't need to ask somebody if they just painted it red. There's a good chance that is going to burn you and you don't touch it. So heuristics that we use on a daily basis are quite helpful to us, but they can also be not so helpful. Research shows that tall people, for example, oftentimes get hired over shorter people, or oftentimes get promoted over shorter people, even when the job has nothing to do with your height. So companies, organizations, losing perhaps the ability to have the most talented people because of a snap judgment, an error in judgment we often make. Wine, for example. People often say when they taste a wine that it tasted really good, but later they find out that was heavily influenced by the packaging or the price of the wine bottle. In fact, some really interesting research experiments were done where they took vodka, same exact vodka, put it in one bottle that looked expensive with a high price, the exact same vodka in a different bottle looked less expensive at a lower price. People tasted the same two vodkas and said, wow, this one is so much better than this one. The exact same vodka. We don't always make good decisions about things, especially when it comes to our lives, because of these heuristics that govern how we operate in the world. I would argue that most of us, when we think about heuristics about college career success, think about it in the following way. Which college you attend will determine your success and opportunities you'll have in your career, and your career is going to determine your happiness. But I think that's kind of a sad and incorrect way to look at the world, because if you follow this thinking, what does this actually mean? Only a few people can actually be successful? Only a few people can actually be happy? That's not how the world actually works. Here's some examples of just how much your college and the name brand with it may or may not matter like you think. Joe Biden, outgoing Vice President of the United States. Maybe you didn't know this. His undergraduate institution was University of Delaware. Condoleezza Rice, former Secretary of State, attended University of Denver for undergraduate studies. Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, went to Auburn University. Angela Ahrens, former CEO of Burberry, Ball State University. Sergey Brin, co-founder of Google, went to the University of Maryland as an undergraduate. Ann Sweeney, president of Disney ABC, former president of Disney ABC, College of New Rochelle. And my favorite one on this list, Lester Holt, NBC News anchor and one of the moderators of a presidential debate this past year. Cal State Sacramento, he didn't even graduate. He left school without even getting a college degree. My guess is if you look at this list, you'd say these people have done pretty well for themselves. And by all reports, they're successful and they're happy. They didn't go to the institutions that many of us here think we have to go to have success and happiness. Let's bring it closer to home. The highest honor a teacher can receive at TS is to be recognized as a Teacher of the Year. It means you're held in the highest regard by students, faculty, and administrators. And here are some of the recent Teacher of the Year awards given out since I've been here. Dr. Nathan Smith, University of Tennessee. Mr. Matt Fagan, Eckerd College. Mr. Jami Franklin, Santa Clara University. If any of you have had the privilege of being in their classroom, you will know they're as good as it gets when it comes to teaching. And again, they didn't go to the kinds of universities that people here tend to get overly excited and brag about when someone gets admitted to. What does that say? Here's what employers think about this question and how this landscape is shifting as well. Recently, Deloitte, a leading consulting and accounting firm, global firm, announced in the UK they're going to stop looking at what school or college you attended because they believe, one, that doesn't allow them to find the best people out there, and two, it doesn't allow them to build the most diverse workforce. They don't even ask anymore. They don't even want to know what school or college you attended. Google, the head of Google HR, CNN, New York Times, he gives interviews to anyone who will listen saying, college you attended matters less and less these days. In fact, with their strong data analytics within Google, they've done correlation studies to look at and find that people with the highest GPAs and the best test scores are not necessarily the top performing employees at Google. In fact, taking this even further, in some departments, up to 14% of the people don't even have a college degree at all. What you know how to do, and what kind of person you are matters more and more and will continue to matter more and more as we develop better ways of evaluating and recruiting people out there in the world. So if the old ways you used to think about success and happiness maybe don't apply as much anymore, what should we follow? What should we do? Well, fortunately, there's researchers out there, particularly at the University of Pennsylvania, working on this very question. And the latest, greatest research is a model called PERMA, which says, if you want to increase your well-being, if you want to flourish in life, here's the 5 things you should do. First, look for experiencing positive emotions. And this is something you can do on a daily basis. No matter how small, even usually the smallest ones make the biggest difference. You can find on a daily basis ways to experience positive emotions. Second, engagement. Find things to involve yourself in that draw you, that pull you in, that make you feel productive, make you feel alive, regardless of the glamour of the job or not. 3, positive relationships, and especially opportunities where you give more than you get. 4, find the meaning in what you're doing. What's the purpose? What's the contribution you're making? And 5, finally, accomplishment. Opportunities for you to do things where you see accomplishment, where you grow, where you improve. Notice that none of these have to do with which university you attend or don't attend. None of these have to do with the glamour of your job or the pay of your job. These are things that successful, happy people, according to the research, do regardless of the degree on their wall, regardless of their job title. So here's what I've learned. I regret chasing after good grades in high school just for the sake of those grades. I've missed opportunities for learning and growth. I regret going after a college just because of its name, not thinking about whether it would be the right place for me and if I would use it well to explore myself. I regret thinking that those good grades in the college were going to give me the job that would give me happiness and success, that all these things would be given to me. I regret developing that fixed mindset. And most of all, I realize now I regret developing a self-concept and a sense of self-worth that was too tied into my grades, my college, job, money, any of these kinds of things. Fortunately, I've had the opportunity to learn and improve and grow, and I hope you all will as well. So here's my advice to you. 1, remember, we're not always good at making decisions. We live more by heuristics than we do by better decision-making methods. So recognize that in yourselves when you take in information. 2, your college will not give you success and happiness. In fact, that fixed mindset will probably hinder you later in life. It's what you make out of any experience you have that matters. 3, we have better research now on what does actually lead to success and happiness. We need to adopt these new approaches and get rid of the old way of thinking about this kind of stuff. Can only a few people be successful and happy, or can everyone be? What do you need to do to be successful and happy? How are you going to answer that question for yourself? You're all very fortunate. You get to choose what to believe. Thank you very much.